Okay, so here we are at noon, and we are uh, assembled here at our round table, our wannabe round table. And the whole idea of the round table is that we're all equal. We're all equal, and everybody has a chance. Mike, if you want to join us here, you always are welcome. Yeah, you're okay there. Yeah. Um, okay, there's Phyllis coming in. All right. Okay. A trip, my companion. Okay, there's Phyllis. Can you hear me, Phyllis? Raise your hand if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, welcome. Okay, so we're gathered here on the third day
Oh,
of
that sounds terrible.
order to celebrate the holiday. And what better way to celebrate the holiday than for us to be enjoying a Hanukkah meal with zugvoniot,
Oh,
and all the good, and there are silver power of candies, chocolates for people to have, and
oh.
kinds of goodies. And it's my pleasure to Helene, welcome, and the learners, welcome. Okay, uh, we are assembled here, and I did send out the resources to some of you. Should have it. If not, I will do my best to screen share. Otherwise, you're going to have to bear with me. Sometimes the screen share does not work. Okay. Um, so uh, I chose a poem this time. I was looking for a poem that had a Hanukkah slant to it, something that was classical, something that has been around for a long time, let alone over 1,000 years for this particular poem. Um, it's called the Shnei Zaitim, which can be translated as either two olives, two olive branches. Okay. So I prefer the two olive branches. There are three handouts here for people to take. Please do. The most important one, of course, is the poem itself, Sinead's 18, which we'll get into as much as we can. And welcome, Jay. Um, I chose this poem because it's been around over 1,000 years. It is written by a very distinguished medieval poet. His name is Solomon Ibn Gabirol, and he has a strong role to play in Jewish poetry. He's probably one of the most outstanding uh, Jewish historical poets that we have. Um, he was born in Spain, uh, and he knew Latin, Greek, Arabic, Hebrew as well, dialects of what we now know as Spanish. Um, he is considered one of the primary poets in Jewish history and wrote both in Arabic and Hebrew. His hundreds of poems cover all sorts of topics: weddings, nature, life, relationships, marriage. Okay. Um, his most famous poem, besides this one, is famous. Well, I'll get into it in a moment. It's called The Crown of Sovereignty. It's on the second page of this handout, which has Jewish history at the top. Okay, let me see if I can get it up for you here. Screen share. All right, let me see if we can screen share. Share. All right. Okay, let's see what we have. Share. I had it. All right, share. All right, we have here. Here. Date required. Date, you have, okay, I'm sorry for you guys. You're going to have to just, there's all kinds of updates going on here. Uh, I love being in person. Zoom is secondary, but I'll do my best to explain what's going on here carefully. Um, his most famous poem is called The Crown of Sovereignty, Keter Malchut. Now, the idea of Keter, of there being a crown, is very important in this poem as well. The reason this Keter Malchut is so well known, as Stuart's familiar with it from our liturgy.
Uh-huh.
It's recited. It's a very long poem uh, that's recited on Yom Kippur night by Sephardic Jews. Okay, it's many, many stanzas, and knowing the Sephardics, I once prayed in the Sephardic synagogue right next to the King David Hotel, and they recited all 150 Psalms of David in about 20 minutes. I was just astounded. So even though there are hundreds of stanzas, I mean hundreds of stanzas, they chant it. They chant it every Yom Kippur Eve as part of the service. Okay, it's very. I suggest that you read. Take this home. I give you guys this. Read it. Find out what. I'm not going to get into it right now because there's so much that we need to cover. The Crown of Sovereignty has great ideas and explains why it is read in Sephardic synagogues Yom Kippur Eve. Okay. Um, he was a man that was on the run. He had to leave. He wrote from his heart, and because he spoke negatively about a lot of prominent Jews in his town, he was on the road. He was like Dante. We covered Dante way back a couple of years ago. Also, an Italian poet that had to flee from Florence because he was in a minority party. So here's a man that wrote so much on the run. Okay, understand that. Um, and he is writing about uh, a time of very significant importance, which we'll get into in a moment. Okay. I have a list here. I called a cast of characters, and I asked Stuart if I don't cover all these, please let me know which ones I don't cover. But we've got Solomon Ibn Gabirol, we've got Zerubbabel and Joshua, the different Joshua than the one that we know. We have the prophet Zechariah that's mentioned in this poem. We have King David. We have a menorah. We've got two olive branches. We have King Cyrus of Persia that we know invited all the Jews to come back from Babylonia and establish the second temple. Okay. We have Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, very significant. I hope to get to that. We have the idea of Moshiach and we have the Hasmoneans. Okay. So there are a lot of characters here, and I'm trying to simplify it without confusing because in my mind, there are so many different time periods that we're dealing with, including the future time that we all hope for, and our time, and going back through centuries of oppression and going back to the time, the medieval times when all these poets writing in Spain, they were in exile. You have to understand they were in exile and they look upon Palestine and Zion as a place that they would like to be, but the circumstances were not appropriate for them to return. Okay. All right. So with that, let's all look at the poem itself. Okay. Um, it's called Shnei Zaitin, okay, two olive branches. Now it's called a Menorah Piyut, a Menorah Piyut, okay, for Shabbat Hanukkah. It's appropriate that we're talking about this poem right now because Shabbat Hanukkah is coming up this Saturday, okay? And the Menorah Piyut, a piyut is a poem, and they are mostly from the Middle Ages, but there are modern piyut poets writing. It's a short liturgical poet on a writing about a significant Jewish theme, Jewish holiday. Okay, um, and a piyut, they were known for writing very short, compressed, a lot of puns in the Hebrew, a lot of puns, which we'll see here. Um, and um, it's called a Menorah. Anybody know why it's called Menorah? Someone can tell me why it's called Menorah. Anybody?
What's called Menorah?
Do you know why it's called a Menorah?
Menorah lights up.
It means
Lights up.
like that. Okay.
The word or.
Welcome. You came at the right time. Okay. Now, the reason I mention it is because the Meorot were poems that were placed before the Shema in the prayer book. Very important. This is esoteric, but not so esoteric. And the idea was because the prayers before the Shema speak about light, okay? Um, and I will I'm letting you guys each, but as we all know, that the leading prayers to the Shema begin with the Baruch in the daily prayer. We say the Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach, and then we continue Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzei or uvarei choshech oseh shalom uvarei atakol. So the rabbis have looked upon. Then there are prayers leading up to the Shema that mention light, and particularly on the Sabbath, we have this beautiful poem, El Adon Al Kol Ma'asim. It talks about light, the holy light that comes on Shabbat, that we spoke about earlier, the extra soul that we have on Shabbat. Tovim Ma'orot Shebara Eloheinu. And this is from the El Adon, that good are the lights that the Creator established. Yitzoram B'da'at. He created them with great knowledge, which we can't even understand, probe God's light. Bavina, Bina is knowledge and understanding. He's given us Koach, strength, Gevura, extra strength he has given us. And these lights, motion, these lights are his, shall we, emanations, if you will, the angels, the angels that the tzvaot we say in Hebrew. So light is, and so this was a Menorah, a poem that was inserted in the Sephardic prayer book before the Shema. So that's why it's called the Menorot. Okay. Okay. So with that in mind, let us begin. Okay. Jake, well, you want to read the first paragraph here in English, and I will mention some of the Hebrew. Yeah, down here. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Two olive branches cut down in the enclosed garden will again produce oil. Will the leaders of the Kohathites?
Yeah, well, it means Kohanit, but Kohathites, and the Ephraimites, yeah.
Will two tiaras be crowned? Like candles on the pure menorah, they will shine. Indeed, each man will help each other's burdens. Yea, within the camp facing the menorah, they will illuminate.
Okay, so it's rather esoteric. I mean, for us to just dive into this, two olive branches, you have to use your imagination here. Two olive branches. There's a lot of symbolism here, which we'll get into in a moment. They're cut down. Okay, positive or negative, Moshe? They're cut down. What's your reaction? They're cut down. Positive? Negative, absolutely. So these two olive branches. So immediately he gives you a sense of doom almost. I mean, in the enclosed garden. No'ul Yatziru. Okay. This is from the Song of Songs, the enclosed garden.
Okay.
And King Solomon talks about the Jewish woman is in a closed garden. She's protecting her virginity. She's a model of modesty. And so you have this two branches cut down in what should be a garden of Eden, if you will, a garden of happiness and prosperity. He says, will again produce oil. L'rosh kahat na'ul yatziru. Yatziru means to produce, make flow. Okay. It also refers to light. There's a meaning of a skylight here. And the idea is that even though you're an enclosed area with broken branches, they will flow, they will open up and produce oil once more. So even though we are at a significant nadir, a breakdown of some sort, this oil will flow. Okay. And of course, we can all think about the oil of the menorah. There's a reference here right at the beginning to the menorah. Now, Larosh Kahati, the Kahati was a Levite sect, okay, of Kahanim. Okay, so the Kohathites, You were correct. These are the Kohanim, and the Ephraimites, they are the house of David. Okay, so they are from the tribe of Judah, correct? From the tribe of Judah. And they will, with two crowns, shtei atarot yachtiru, okay? They will, with two crowns, be yachtiru from the word keter malchut, the kingship that we just spoke about. So these two leaders, I have leader of the Kohanim, and you have the leader of the Ephraimites, okay, of the house of David, will both be crowned. They'll be equal, okay. So there's a sense of maybe cohesion, a sense of unity, if they will. Kamone wrote Yashiru. Okay, they will Yashir from the word Zohar, from the word light. They will shine forth and be quick. Go ahead.
Put in that Zohar is different than light. It's a holy light.
Say it louder.
It's a bright holy light.
It's a holy light. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll go. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So you were going to say just light, you would have different.
Yeah, there is a sense. I mean, totally agreed. I mean, we're talking about something very holy here, something very, very holy. And he says here, Hain bin Masat kol ish et re'ehu yazera. They will join together and help each other's burdens. You have a candle of the Kohanim, and you have the candle of the kingship, and these are two separate, shall we say, functions of the Jewish people. Each one is very important, and each one has its own burden, and each one will help each other's burden. Each one has a separate burden. And we'll see what happens here very, very shortly as we move into Zechariah. Now, the Hain b'machane amul pnei hamana. This is a refrain that appears in a number of these stanzas. Yea, within the camp, facing the menorah, they will illuminate. Yea, within the camp, facing they will illuminate. Okay. I take it the menorah could be a symbol of God. Now, where else in our biblical tradition do we have two objects that are facing each other? Anybody?
Cherubim, the cherubs.
The cherubs, very good. Phyllis, you scored well on that one. We have in the Parsha of Shemot, in the book of Shemot, we have two cherubs that God created, and they were placed above the holy ark. And how are they aligned? Where are they facing? They're facing to each other. Correct. And as they're facing to each other, what happens? Again, I'll quote from scripture. It's a moed. It's a place where God speaks. And so when the angels are facing each other and in harmony, the voice of God emanates mysteriously from the Aron HaKodesh. That's what it says. And there's an allusion here to that, which I think is very powerful. Now, when there is another reference to the cherubs in the further on in the Tanakh, Ketuvim, in the third book of the Tanakh, there's a reference, but there the cherub is looking away from the ark. Okay. And the rabbis, this is discussed in the Talmud Bava Basra, and the rabbi, what's going on here? Here you've got them looking at each other, and here they're looking away. And so what the rabbis make peace between these is that when the children of Israel are acting properly and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, the cherubs are facing each other. When they are acting against the will of God, against the mitzvot, then the cherub is facing away. So that's very important. Okay. Any other comments? Don't hesitate to okay. So
Ben Porat, is that Yosef?
okay, yes. Yeah, we're going to get here in a moment. Okay, so we'll have a volunteer to read, Bruce, you want to read the second one, Hebrew, English, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Starting where?
Pardon? The second, it's Levain for the Ephraimite. Here, it's the second one. For the Ephraimite, second page. Here, you have the first page and second. Turn it over. Yeah.
Precious headpiece was like dead grass. And for the anointed one who was like taken like a boat without a captain. Remember the vision of Zechariah saw in the city of Babylon, as he recalled them and saved them back then by Zerubbabel's hand.
Okay. A lot of talk. Now, Phyllis mentioned Bain Parat is another name for Joseph. It means from the word someone who is blessed and with good looks, someone who is favored. And in Jacob's message to his children at the end of the book of Genesis, Jacob is Levain Parat. So it's a favorable image. It's a favorable image. And as we said, the Ephraimites are descended from King David. Okay. So what he's saying is here that the head plate, which is worn, it's kind of a confusing metaphor here. The head plate, which we know was worn by the Kohen. Kohen had a turban and he had a head plate, and it sits on it. We'll get to the sits in a moment. The Ephraimites. So you have a king whose head plate, and they translate it as like dead grass. Hayakat no veil. Now, a seats is not really dead grass. A seats is it's called the golden seats. It's one of 8 garments and accessories were part of the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol had 8 different garments. And God told Moses that the Kohen Gadol had to have a mitznefet, his high hat, and it had to have a blue thread around it, around this mitznefet. And on the forehead of Aaron, there is this little sitz. It's inscribed. It's a piece of gold that's inscribed on his turban, and from it, the Kohen Gadol gets power in order to purify the sacrifices, to be sure that the sacrifices are pure. It's also used as a way of determining whether people have been honest to him, and that's another mystical thing, which I won't get into. But the tzitz is not, I prefer the tzitz is that something that is holy, that's something that gave the power to the Kohanim, is being worn here by by someone from the house of David. Okay, but it's something that's favorable. Okay, limnashach asher hushach kamo aniyah, for the anointed one who was taken like a boat without a captain. Okay, so you can look at this as King David was anointed. Okay, and as we know, the kingship was taken away from him. Okay, he was the boat. Thinking of Walt Whitman's poem "Ship of State," that the boat does not have a captain. Well, if you don't have somebody who is a leader, someone who is a king and acts as king, as apart from someone who is a Kohen, you're going to have problems. And here there is an intimation of 2 roles that should be separated. The Kohanim have got to do their work, and the kings have to do their work. And here you have it's a metaphor of confusion. Now he says, now this is very important. Zechar mar'eh asher ra'ah Zechariah be'ir Bavel. Remember the vision that Zechariah saw in the city of Babylon. Okay. As you recall them and save them back then by Zerubbabel's hand. Now this is esoteric, I realize it. And so let us go very slowly and look at the Haftorah that is going to be chanted this Shabbat, which is going to have a much longer version of the vision which I gave you. You have the vision of Zechariah from, it says Zechariah 4:2, which we'll get to in a moment. Okay. So a little bit of background about this Haftarah, which is coming up. Okay. in the year 538 before the Common Era, a year after conquering Babylonia, Cyrus the Mede, Cyrus conquered Persia and defeated the Babylonian, Ahasuerus and his crew. He issued an edict allowing all subject populations to return to their national practices. So the Jews, which had been in exile in Babylonia for hundreds of, no, it wasn't that long. Okay, as we know, the first exile was 586, it's 538, about 50 years. And he's inviting all the Jews that were scattered in Pampadiza and Sura and other cities to come on back, okay? And so this is the time in which Zechariah was prophesying. The exiles from Babylon returned to Judah with the okay to build the second temple we're talking about, okay? It's almost, the first temple was destroyed about 50 years earlier, okay? There were initial delays, and Zechariah is somebody who is urging the Jews coming back from Babylonia to rebuild, get in there. Cyrus said, do it now. And then his son Darius took over and so Zechariah preached under Darius the first, okay? And in the second year of the reign of Darius the first, he allowed construction to continue because it had been delayed. And the two prophets, Zechariah and Haggai, okay, Haggai is a very minor prophet that, okay, but we're talking about Zechariah. And these two prophets urged the people to continue building the temple, okay? Zechariah's vision focuses on the rebuilding the second temple, which features a menorah, okay? It's a lampstand with 7 lamps flanked on either side by an olive tree, okay? So in the passages that follow, okay, the symbolism will be explained. So let's take a look at the handout that I gave you from Zechariah, okay? It is here,
Right.
okay?
The
Okay,
one?
everybody should have it. Okay, this is from Zechariah. If you guys have it, it's Zechariah 4, and the book, chapter 4 from Zechariah. Okay, and this is for
the Shabbos.
yeah. This will be read this Shabbos. Okay, this is towards the end of the parsha of the Haftarah portion. Okay,
I see Zechariah 14.
yeah, it says 14, but underneath it says 4. You see that?
Okay.
It was an error. Zechariah made a mistake. You are amazing. You picked that. I saw that too. Yeah. The original had 4 on it, but I printed it out and you guys have 14.
Good.
There's some type of symbolism going on. I can't explain it. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So let's delve into this vision of Zechariah, which is so important as we will see. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs makes a very important point about that, and we'll get there, Stuart, I promise. Okay. Okay. So earlier in this portion, which we read, there's another angel, there's a second angel. Now we're talking about one of the angels that spoke to him earlier in this portion comes back to him, and he awakens him from his sleep. Now, when do the prophets usually have their visions? When do they have their visions usually? When they're sleeping. Yeah, when they're sleeping. Okay, so here he's being woken up by a Malach Elohim. Okay, he has a vision. And what does this Malach say? Okay. Gloria, do you want to read number 2?
Number 2.
Hebrew or English, whatever you want to do.
Okay, the angel who talked with me came back and woke me as someone is wakened from sleep.
Continue, next
He
one.
said to me, "What do you see?" And I answered, "I see a lampstand all of gold with a bowl above it. The lamps on it are 7 in number, and the lamps above it have 7 pipes."
Okay. Okay.
Menorah and the Beis Hamikdash.
Okay. What did you say, Phyllis?
The menorah and the Beis Hamikdash.
Yes, yeah. There is an interpretation that this is the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, and on top of it you have this bowl, okay, and the lamps are 7 in number, and they have 7 pipes. Okay. Let's continue, and we'll try to make an explanation of this. Stuart, you want to read the next one?
Number three,
Number three, yeah.
and by it are two olive trees, one on the right of the pole and one on its left.
Okay, so we mysteriously have now. Trust me, this is not in the Beit HaMikdash in the Holy of Holies, but in this vision you have these olive trees. Okay, and remember that they're cut off in the poem that Ibn Gabirol writes. They're cut off. These are two branches. So if they're cut off, there's a question of, are they really able to produce oil in order to light? Now, the menorah can be seen as God himself, a vision of God. And we'll get into that moment. Why seven? There are seven different pipes and seven different. Anybody want to venture a guess? Raise your hand if you feel strongly about it. Okay. But it's not mentioned in the parsha that we read Shabbat. The explanation will not be given. I'll give it to here, but if for some reason the rabbis stopped at a certain point, and we'll see why they stopped this Haftorah at that point. Okay. All right. Now, go ahead.
But aren't there seven branches of the menorah? Weren't there in the Beis HaMikdash?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, there are seven. Yeah, but yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay, right, Phyllis. Thank you. Okay. Mike, number 4, go ahead.
I in turn asked the angel who talked to me, what do those things mean, my Lord?
Yeah, Maha Ela Adonai. What do these things mean? That's if we get an answer. And Susan, go ahead, number 5.
Do you not know what those things mean? Asked the angel who talked with me. And I said, no, my Lord.
Okay. Vayan hamelach hadavar mi vayomer Eli halo yadata my. Don't you really know? Come on, you're a visionary. You should know this. Okay. Okay, and Aviva, number 6.
Number 6. This
Yeah.
is the word to me as follows. This is the word of God to Zerubbabel, not by might nor by power, but by spirit.
This is the famous.
Yeah, this is a very famous line, and this is the reason the rabbis chose this particular Haftorah for the Shabbat, and we'll get into it. There's a lot of deep meaning here, and I'm going to do number 7 because it does mention one of the 2 characters that we need to talk about. Mi atah har gadol lifnei Zerubbabel. Whoever you are, O great mountain, the path of Zerubbabel. Get into that moment. Okay, turn into the level ground. Let me show. Hotzi et even harosha. Remove this head stone. Okay, this excellent stone. It shall be greeted with shouts of beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so Zerubbabel is a name which its origin is very important. It comes from the Zerah, Bavel. Zerah means the seed, the origin of Bevel. Zerubbabel, I mentioned the cast of characters, is one very important character. He is a general. He is first a lowly governor that's appointed by Darius. When the Jews came back from Babylonia, they needed to have a military governor of some sort. And so he was appointed, he was a low character. And Zerubbabel is I'll get to that in a moment. And he was elevated gradually into the supreme commander. The position, first of all, he's from the tribe of Judah. This is a Davidic. He's a Davidic line of rulers. And he is urged by Zechariah to take command and get this synagogue, this holy Beit HaMikdash built very quickly, because you don't know, Cyrus may change his mind, Darius may change his mind. Okay, so he is the seed from Zerubbabel, and he is urged to rebuild. Now, why is he so important? Okay, the word Zerubbabel calls to mind the idea of something that will sprout, something that will grow from nothing. Okay. The idea here is that from the seed of David in the future will come the Mashiach, okay, that our the anointed one will produce the Mashiach. At this point in Jewish history, what do we have? Do we have any signs of unity at this point? This is what Zechariah is getting into. You have somebody called Zerubbabel, that's called the commander, okay, but he was under make this very important point. He was under the command of Cyrus. He didn't have a complete, like King David had his own army. At this point, Zerubbabel is under Cyrus. It's under to rebuild. Standing in the Beit HaMikdash was Joshua. Now, this is not the Joshua going back to early time. This is another Kohen Gadol, Joshua. And you have these two figures that Zechariah looks to in order to join the force of David, which is the kingship, with the Kohanim. Okay, so you have this duality. Now, where do we stand? Why is this so important? And why is the phrase that Michael just pointed out to us, that the lo b'koach, etc., but by the energy of God will be brought together, lo b'koach, lo b'koach, in muchi. Okay, why is that so important? Okay, now I move to the side a little bit to get to the great statement that Jonathan
Sachs.
Jonathan
Sachs.
Jonathan Sachs, yeah.
It was British.
Jonathan Sachs made. Okay, British. He was the head of the
Chief Rabbi.
chief rabbi of England. Yes, chief rabbi. He made a point. He said in the Mishnah there are three different crowns. There's the crown of Torah, the crown of Malchut, and the crown of Kahuna. There was three separate divisions, and this is in the Pirkei Avot. In Pirkei Avot, and the point that Jonathan Sachs is making is that these separate functions are meant to be separate. They are meant to be distinct and not to be confused with one another. Now, is this true of us in history? And now we get to a point where it's a little bit sad. I mean, the story of Hanukkah is a happy one. We all know that. We light it with pleasure every night. We get so much pleasure seeing the candles burn and the miracle and celebrating the miracle of our people able to thwart Hellenism and take over the temple. But we know the Hasmoneans ruled for about 100 years, and the Hasmoneans sadly did not last. I mean, there were four Hasmonean kings that followed Matityahu, and they all successively were killed and replaced by another brother. So they did not survive. And what Lord Sachs says is that this is a major issue that Zechariah is dealing with. It's the issue of how do we as a nation accept the word of God? And the problem, as I see here, is that you have two separate factions, each one claiming, and we know that the Hasmoneans, they were from the tribe of Levi. They were Kohanim. These were Kohanim, and their role should have been to be Kohens in the temple. Instead, they ruled like King David. So they usurped the position that was reserved for Zerubbabel. So Zerubbabel, and there's a lot of rabbinic literature on this, represents the future of our people. He represents the seed from which, I mean, Hanukkah is a temporary redemption from Hellenism, a redemption from a foreign culture, and our people, worshiping Avodah Zarah, worshiping foreign idols. And it lasted, the Hasmonean period lasted for a short time, but then, we know what happened. The Romans destroyed the Second Temple, and we've been in exile ever since. So the portion of the Haftorah ends here because the rabbis did not want to take it beyond. They wanted to stop at this point. The vision of Zechariah was to get people to come together and realize that everybody has his own function in life. And you have to, knowing your own function means that you respect that there's a higher order saying, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And this is, to go full circle. I've been leading this class for 7 years. This is the whole purpose of being human, is knowing what your purpose is in life and respecting the other people on the other side. Let them do their thing, you do your thing. But when you usurp, and this is what really disturbed Rabbi Sachs, is that when you usurp the role of another group of people that have been divinely placed in that role, you got major problems. And this is what we're up against here, and this is what this Haftorah hints about. Now, you're going to ask me, what does the symbolism, Phyllis, of the seven the seven arms of the menorah? Okay, the seven, the rabbis say, represents, that's God's reign over all of the world. God's reign over, for God to have proper divinity, God to have proper divinity, you have to have a balancing of interests and people knowing what they have to do in order for the holy oil to flow into the menorah, as Phyllis said, in the Heichal, in the Holy of Holies. You've got to have respect from one side to the other. And what is coming across here is just the opposite. Okay. I take that. If you have any comments on that, please, voice them. But I think this is the underlying message of the poem of.
Richard,
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to a quick comment. Somehow it was not very clear from what you said. The rule of the Hashmonaim was really bad from several points, and it was marked by strife and by personal ambitions. And when you read, for example, much later Shakespeare's play about who will be the king, who wanted all these desires were first in the Hashmonaim could have been seen. At the end of their days, there was a big fight between two brothers. One of them was Hortenus, and another was Aristobulus, and it was who will be king, and it almost led to a civil war over this.
Macbeth, like Macbeth,
yes,
or
almost
Hamlet.
And these two brothers, actually, they were the ones that let the Romans get into the Holy Land. Pompey was next door, and they invited him to come and be like a mediator between them. And Pompey came, and he never left. And the rabbi hold this period not very positively in the history. I mean, it was marked by personal fights and by greed and by big egos, like every day. It looks like things never change, and that's why they kept him somehow with less enthusiasm about this, and they didn't include the books of the Maccabees in the.
Very good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that when I created my cast of characters, I put the Hasmoneans in the bottom because they are really, in my humble opinion, not to be admired the way they conducted their militant Kahanism. They were in charge of the temple, and they were in charge of.
So the seed just of the destruction of the temple, of the second temple, started with them. The Romans wouldn't be there. At least they came like peacemakers inside, and they remained. There was no battle to conquer the Holy Land, the Eretz Israel, when the Romans came. Battles were much later when they revolt, but it was at the time, and even ended with Herod the Great, who wasn't even Jewish.
Yeah.
Herod ended Herod the Hasmonean rule. He married.
He married Miriam.
He married the Hasmonean woman.
She was the princess, but he was not even Jewish.
Korah, I believe it's, you shall not have a foreigner rule over you. And I don't know how, they must not have taken him as, or that he was contradicting that.
Yes,
I would think.
yes, and that's why he tried to be more Jewish than the folks. So I said, so he expanded the temple later just to prove how pious he is and how much he cares about Judaism. But that's a whole. That's
As I prepare, I have to share with you. There were so many different time periods involved here. I saw different time period, the Mashiach in the future, our time. We live in so much civil strife and so much bloodshed, unneeded bloodshed all over our people, other people's. It really tears my heart to see what's happening. And then going back to the time of Ibn Gabirol, who was himself running away from society because he's telling the truth. And here he's trying to tell you the truth, okay? And he admires Zerubbabel. There's no doubt about it. Zerubbabel is the seed of the future. He is we're going through strife right now, but the implication is if everybody tends to his given duty, his responsibility, coming from God, that's the important thing. It's just not me for myself. I mean, this is what we're living in, a world of too many people living for myself. Are you making room for the other? That's what this is all. Are you making room for other people to hear their point of view, to open up to be part of change and make a difference? I mean, it's very hard. We have a little bit of time left. We have a few more stanzas here. I'd be happy if we get through the entire poem, but I think that we've covered the crux, and I really appreciate your sense of history, Mike, because it's certainly fills in my lack of sense of the overall picture. But okay, so we are in a paragraph that begins, "Remember their seed to save them." All right, Sam, do you want to read that one? Remember it stanza number 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 8. Top of the second page here.
Okay,
Yeah.
remember their seeds to save them at the time and jubilee years called, and set them in their ancestors' place, being rulers of all the land. From the hand of the huntermen, their ring will be taken. Yea, within the camp facing the menorah, they will illuminate.
Okay, so there you have Hein b'malacha el mol penei menorah. That's the sense of the two cherubim, Phyllis, looking, facing each other, facing the menorah, facing God. That's where the voice of God comes from, menorah, when things are flowing. Zachar Zaram. I have to mention another very important prayer that we chant every day, and that's the 15th prayer of the 18 benedictions of the Shemona Esrei. And what is that? And we chant it, and we need to have kavana. When we do chant it, we should think, Et semech David avdecha maherat tatzmiach. It begins with, the offspring of your servant David, may you speedily cause to flourish. Semach David, the future is in conciliation and flourish. V'karno tarum b'shuatecha. Okay, and the pride, enhance your pride. We have to enhance it, and yet we have to moderate our pride. We can't be too prideful and take over positions that belong to everybody else. Through your salvation, okay. Because of your salvation, we've hoped for every day. Blessed are you, our Lord, who causes the pride of salvation to flourish. This is a beautiful prayer that is in tune with what we're doing. Matzmiah, Karen Yeshua. Okay, got that in. Pardon?
what you just said, what's the beginning word?
It's Semech David Abdacha Tatzmich. It's Semech of the seed of David you shall allow to flourish. Semech David Abdacha.
Is that from the bottom?
No, this is from the Shemona Esrei that you chant every day. That's why I say it, because now that I bring it out, you can chant it with a little. Et Semech David Abdacha Meheratat, and it says Malchut David David. In our prayer, but this is the kingship of David. It is so important, and the rabbis put it in there because you got to remember it's got to be from the tribe of David, not the Hasmoneans, the wannabes. Everybody's a wannabe, a takeover. You got to know what your role is in life, and many people just don't get it. Hopefully, in our generation, more of us will just wake up to this and pass the word around to create harmony, so that we, like cherubim, facing each other and smiling at each other and allowing all of the shemen to flow from these broken branches. Okay. Lloyd, who wants to? Okay, Alvin, I haven't heard from you. Return. There you go, Alvin.
Got it.
Alvin's got to be a mamlacha. Return the interrupted sovereignty.
Sovereignties to the city of Zion.
Yeah, continue.
And bring back the honored daughter who has labored much. And the king's mother, and the diadem you will set on the head of David. And the jeweled turban you will place on the head of Aaron.
This is a beautiful image. This is an image of, this is the way it's going to be, guys. It's going to be, because I'm here, I'm working with Kagai, I'm working with Darius, and we're going to build a temple that will have sovereignty from my people, from the people of Zerubbabel, and we're going to have harmony. So return the interrupted sovereign. It's interrupted right now. It's been interrupted by we know that, but at this point, one temple has been destroyed, and we know what's going to happen to the second temple. Okay, bring back Vat Kvodah. This is interesting. Bring back the honored daughter who has labored much. Okay, Vat Kvodah Barav Avudah. This, to me, represents the exile, the children of Israel. Bring them back. They've labored so much. They've been in exile. They want to come back to your city, which is Jerusalem. The Hagvira, Hatzfira. Well, they say Gavira is queen mother. Gavira means strength, the strength. Okay, Tzafira is another word for the diadem, the kingship, the symbol of king. LaRoche David, Semech David Abdachat Tasmiach. LaRoche David, the head of David. Place it on the head of David. And beautiful Mitznefet refers to the turban. Mu'ulefet means spread out. Mu'ulefet, bejeweled, laid out like jewels on the head of Aaron, as we discussed with that sits on it. Okay, okay, and who hasn't done one? Oliver, you're up.
I also need it.
Daily offering. Hatami.
And the daily offering you will then raise, and the grain offering you will lift. And the medicinal oil, which was taken and not seen until now, and the smoke, incense for Aaron too.
No.
That's it.
Smoke.
For Aaron to smoke, and the lights of the Menorah, the children of Aaron will light, yea, within the camp facing the menorah, they will illuminate.
There you go. The Hein b'machane el mol penei hamenorah Euro. Yeah. Okay, so the Tamid, the Ner Tamid, the priests. There was a morning sacrifice and the afternoon sacrifice. The Ner Tamid burning, and you'll have your daily sacrifices. Your mincha, which is the grain offering, your terimena. These are the offerings in which you raised up the offering. Merkach from the word merkachat, from the word pharmacy. All of your medicinal oils, okay, which was taken. Okay, very interesting idea here that the anointing oil from which Aaron and his sons were blessed, got lost. It was lost for many, many generations. And during the priesthood, of King Josiah in the 7th century, they recovered this oil, this anointing oil. So that's a reference to, we will rediscover that oil. It had been discovered, and they'll use that oil for the incense that Aaron and his children will use on the Mizbeach, on the altar, okay? And on the lights, the menorot, b'nei Aaron, on the lights on the menorah of Aaron will light. Okay, very good. So he's a visionary. He's envisioning at the beginning of the second temple, it has not been built, that the second temple will correct the mistakes of the first temple. We know it happened otherwise. Okay. Okay. Who would like to volunteer for the next one? Anybody? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, the crushed.
Crushed, and the parched one who wails before you daily. Support her hand through her nephew, whose name is called Rudy.
Ruddy.
Ready.
That's a non-biblical name.
Yeah, it's a very important name. We'll see how important it is.
Bring them to Spice Garden
Yeah.
and include their wedding canopy in splendor, and lead them and enthrone them in Mount Sinai and the Galil.
Okay, so Nechea, Vahatzmea, crushed in parts, Sameh, you're parched like in the desert. Okay, you're waiting for fresh oil, fresh food, fresh sustenance, and you're wailing. Okay, Telil, you are wailing, you're howling in the wilderness. You're waiting for Godot, waiting for Mashiach to come. Okay, now very important punning going on next here. Samoch yada beven doda. Okay, support her hand. Beven, the son of Doda, the son of an uncle, but he's punning. The pun is on the son of David. He wants you to think that from the future, the strength will come beven from the son. And who's the son of David? Ultimately, okay, will be Mashiach. He's referring to the Messiah. Beven doda. Okay, Asher nekrashma hachlil. Hachlil is another word for ruddiness. Red. It means being red. And in Shmuel, David is described as Admoni. Yeah, he's called an Admoni. So this is again reference from the seed of David. Semech David Tatzmeh. You will flourish from the seed of David. Okay, and the chuppah. It's a beautiful marriage ceremony taking place here, not in heaven, but here. Bring back the spice garden. Chuppatam behod tachlil. Okay. Bring back the spice garden in splendor and lead them and enthrone them. I mean, going back to Keter Malchut, he's in love with the idea of kingship, the idea of sovereignty, of the idea of the line of David must go on. And finally, we get to the last one. Who would like to volunteer for anybody or anybody?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
And the upright law will then be sung with lyre as well as flute. Rage at those who leave your name and love false visions, lies, and idols. And the betoiled nation will be blessed. All who see them will understand. Yea, within the camp facing the menorah, they will illuminate.
Okay. Chok Yashar, strong law. You'll be true to the law. What the law says is there's the Keter Malchut will be a Keter Malchut. Nobody else. The Keter Kahuna, Keter Torah. Above all, it's Torah. And Nevel, the Gam Chalil, the flute. Anybody know the flute, the Chalil? Rage, Zoam, Ozvei Shemcha. Rage. God will be rage at those who leave your name, those who turn against you, your enemies, the Romans, as we know, the Romans, the Babylonians, all these nations that have tried to chazon sheker, chazon, vision, false vision, the shav, and full of lies and idols. The am puchim Yehuber, and a nation which is besmirched, which is heavy with burdens. okay, will be a blessed nation, okay? Kol roihem heim b'machane el mul panei menorah, and all of them. And again, this is the end of the Olena, where we have this vision of all the nations will be one and joining under God, okay? A menorah. So the menorah, the menorah, in my humble opinion, it represents God, God's spreading light throughout the universe. And it's for us to act individually. The message I take for it is, hey, brother, find out what you're supposed to do in life and stay true to what your purpose is. But finding your purpose is a different story. I mean, that's, many of us still finding meaning in our life at any age, to find out what you're supposed to be doing, and to come and celebrate and have a discussion like this is very important. Any comments where go ahead? Yeah.
I was just wondering if we're ever searching for our true self at any stage in our life, which really means, in a sense, that you're never, in a sense, satisfied. You never reach your potential because you're always searching for it. That, I wonder, is not a disservice to humanity, never finding what you want to do or what your purpose in life is, what makes you happy. And by the same token, if you are very unhappy in your relationships with family and loved ones, then they too will be unhappy. But if you're not happy, you can't resonate happiness to someone else. And
I love your thought. I mean, that really summarizes a lot of what this literature at Lunch Roundtable is all about, is finding out who you are at what stage you're at. And at any stage, you have room for so much improvement. Let the oil flow from above. And how do you do that? It comes from really having a strong belief in God. You got to have that, somebody behind us pulls us together, gives us a purpose every day, makes us fruitful, makes us caring of other people, reaching out and bringing people together. And that's, that to me is what life should be. And to pursue, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
And after you have found it and you say,
Thank you.
hallelujah, share it with everyone.
Amen. That's it. And that's my pleasure. Not to say I found it all, but I've been very, very, very blessed in my own private life. All the turmoil I've been through, and I will write a book about it one day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mike, thank you for your comment, because my sweep of history cannot compare with your sweep.
Richard? Richard? Hello?
Okay, thank you. Yes. Phyllis.
Yeah, and you know what this poem makes me think about? The concentrating on the menorah and the base. You hear me?
Phyllis, do me a favor. I'm surrounded by people here. Could you please contact me in an email or call me? Call me.
Okay.
I want to hear your thought. I promise. I will hear
Yeah,
it. Okay.
I think everybody should hear it.
Just your presence, just your being here and
I
bringing
think
herbs to
everybody
the table made
I
my
think
session effective. Here, thank you, Mike, for coming. And Mike,